Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about a 5.56 FAL. Just recently we posted a video about the McCasey. That's the rifle you see here in the front. It's a hybrid between the AR-15 and the FAL, and it chambers 5.56. Well, in the comments of that video, you guys brought up another rifle from history, a rather obscure rifle here in the United States, and that is the Springfield Armory import from Bell, and that is an actual 5.56 FAL rifle. And that's what we want to talk about in today's video. Give you guys a glimpse into a little bit of past import history and into a really, really cool rifle. One thing I've also noticed in the comments is that you guys have asked, why aren't we doing politics on the Military Arms channel anymore? Well, that's because we've set up a political channel all its own. It's called Second Legacy. There's a link down below. Every single day, Monday through Friday, we post new videos and we deal with Second Amendment issues and politics. So please swing by and check out the Second Legacy. All right, guys, let's get started with today's video and take a closer look at this FAL chambered in 5.56, manufactured by Bell and imported by Springfield Armory. A lot of folks ask me, how can I get involved in the firearms business in that particular community? And one of the best ways to do that is to become a gunsmith. Every gunsmith I know is just overbooked with work. It's a very good living. And so if you would like to become a gunsmith, you need to go to a gunsmithing school or become an apprentice for an existing gunsmith. But Modern Gun School is an accredited college that also works with veterans in the GI Bill, where you can go and get a degree from accredited college in gunsmithing and then go out and start your own gunsmithing business, which I think is a really great option. Again, throughout my entire life, gunsmiths have always been able to earn a really good living, assuming they have a really strong work ethic. So please check out Modern Gun School. I do have a link in the video description below. Let's talk about the history of the SAR 4800 rifle, which this is. So before the Clinton ban, what has been known as the assault weapons ban of 1994, we had rifles coming in from all over the world. Springfield Armory was a great company for bringing in all sorts of cool stuff and offering for sale a bunch of cool stuff. One of the things I had in the 90s that I don't have anymore, I wish I would have kept it. I got rid of it because it broke firing pins all too frequently every couple hundred rounds, and you couldn't get the firing pins anymore. And that was the semi-automatic M60. So they brought in FALs, they brought in G3 clones, they brought in all sorts of stuff from quality manufacturers, right? The Greek G3 clones, the Brazilian FALs. They brought in some really, really cool stuff. And they still bring in a lot of their products, right? A lot of their 1911s were made in South America at one point. They still bring in the XD series of pistols from Croatia. So they're still a big import company. And they put their names on stuff. So the 4800 came during that Clinton era. And so the 4800, the two extra zeros, would typically denote a rifle that would have been manufactured after the ban. Before the ban, they were known as the SAR 48s. Okay, so the 4800 would tell you that's probably a post-ban gun. So this rifle originally would have had a big blocky muzzle device on it, would have had a thumb hole stock back here. And this gun, when I bought it, was in the configuration you see it in. Again, only 700 of these actually made it into the United States. But whoever had this before me put U.S. furniture on it. These are U.S. stocks. They're not shiny like import stocks. You have a U.S. manufactured muzzle device. This is not an FN muzzle device. I can just tell by looking at the end of it and things like that. Maybe they went so far as to put a piston in it, things like that, to get it to 922R compliance. I don't know. But it looks like an effort was made. And, of course, U.S. parts for guns like this are out there. So the gun was converted into the configuration you see here. Now, I will throw up some pictures of the muzzle device, the thumb hole stock of the unmolested guns that came in, but I would imagine a lot of the folks would have done to those ban era guns what somebody has done to this one, because when the ban went away, people wanted to find parts to convert their guns into rifles that look like this. So anyway, let's take this gun apart, take a look at it on the inside. I'll show you some of the things that they changed, relatively minor to take it from a 308 down to a 5.56. Then we'll do some shooting with it. It's actually a really pleasant rifle to shoot, and we'll also address that issue that I've seen people talk about when I did post a picture on this on X. Like, why would you take a big bore battle rifle like that and down chamber it to 5.56? Who would want that? It has no purpose. Well, actually it does. We'll touch upon that too. I want to apologize to you guys if you hear a little bit of a noise in the background. That's our heater system. It's really windy outside and we're into the 30s here in Northwest Indiana. So winter is upon us. All right, so let's start off at the rear of the rifle, kind of work our way forward. I'll point out those areas where they've made changes to the gun. Again, there's not too many that I know of just by simply looking at the gun. You're probably familiar with the FAL. So if we start off back here, just a standard FAL full stock. I have seen people that did conversions on these to put the side folding stock on it. So you could do different things. You'll see various conversions done to the guns after the ban had sunset. Coming forward, just standard rear sight fair, nothing special there. Standard pistol grip, standard selector, takedown lever right here, just like a standard FAL. As we move forward, you'll see it has a standard carrying handle. Some FALs would be cut for carrying handles, others would not be. This one is. Coming up here, this is where you're going to see the first change. So usually this is just a hinge pin that connects the upper and lower receivers of the rifle. This one is now doubling as a mag release. So if I push on it with my finger, you can see how it's moving the mag release over on the other side of the rifle, which is kind of linked over here. So it can use standard STANAG magazines. Push the button and it drops the magazine out. To that end, if you take a look, you'll see the traditional FAL magwell cut here. You can see a sheet metal insert, and that's this magwell adapter that allows it to use STANAG magazines. What's interesting is even though they've changed the hinge pin and stuff like that and added this magazine release, the bolt stop bolt release has not changed. So if you pull the bolt to the rear, push up on the bolt stop, it'll lock the bolt to the rear, and then you insert a fresh magazine, push down, and it will chamber a fresh round. So the charging handle, all that stuff has stayed the same. It's pretty much just a magwell conversion with that hinge pin being swapped out. Coming forward, we have standard FAL handguards. It does have a 5.56 barrel in it, obviously, but the gas system looks pretty much the same. So there's a lot of carryover from 30 cal to 5.56 in this. The gas regulators and all that stuff looks to be the same as a 30 cal rifle. It has been rebarreled, but it has the same profile as a standard carbine length barreled FAL. And then on the end, where there was a big blocky muzzle device on the Ban era guns, this one has a foul-looking muzzle device that has been set in place to replace that barrel block or whatever they would have called it. Again, just a featureless rifle is all it was. Thumbhole stocks and a big dumb muzzle device on the end. I guess it made the anti-gunners happy there for a while. They seemed to be pretty giddy about it again, the whole idea of it, that being an assault weapons ban. So anyway, beautiful rifle. And if you're used to the controls of an FAL, being able to hit your magazine release here is going to be kind of reminiscent of an AR-15, but everything else is going to be just like a standard FAL in terms of charging it and using the bolt stop bolt release, all that good stuff. The sights are adjustable just like a military FAL. We have a 2-position gas block out here. So overall, it's pretty darn similar to the 308. So let's break her open now and take a look on the inside. So we're going to just make sure that the weapon's clear. Magazine's out of it, chamber's empty. Lift up on that little L lever, right? Just push up on that and just kind of break the rifle open. Now you don't have to take the top cover off. You can just pull the bolt and carrier out, but you can also just slide the top cover off and just friction fit in there. And so if you look inside here, standard foul looking hammer arrangement, everything in here looks like pretty much regular FAL. Pretty sure they're still using just regular old recoil springs and stuff like that in there too. This is a standard 30 cal bolt carrier, or it looks to be, at least it's machined from the same blank. And then if you take a look at the bolt, we're just going to pop the bolt out of here really quick. Oops, try not to drop the rifle. And if you take a look at the bolt, this is where things get different, right? And you can see it has a 5.56 head cut right there for the head of the case. So why a 5.56 FAL? Well, as we've pointed out many times here on the Military Arms channel, not everything you buy firearms related needs to serve a tactical or practical purpose. You're allowed to own firearms that are just fun to shoot. Now, that's not to say that this white rifle wouldn't make a very capable self-defense rifle. It most certainly would. There's nothing wrong with 5.56. Sure, I prefer 30 cal in many situations, but 5.56 is still an accepted standard. It's still, the wide use by military and law enforcement, and certainly wide use by civilians. So nothing wrong with the 5.56. So people will say, well, you just don't want a gun that's as big and heavy as the FAL chambered in 5.56. Well, if you don't have to hump this thing through the woods, you just want to go out and shoot something that's cost effective as opposed to a 308, then yeah, it actually does serve a purpose. It's very light recoiling, the ammunition's lightweight, the ammunition's affordable, and the gun is just a real pleasant rifle to shoot. But again, it could be pressed into service for self-defense or whatever you need it to be used for. It's still a quite, it's a very functional rifle. But I get it. Some people would look at this and look at an AR-15 and say, well, I just take the AR-15. And if your goal is self-defense, I can't fault you for that decision. But that does not take away from the fact that this rifle is a ton of fun to shoot. Now, I want to thank our friends over at Federal for supplying the ammunition to the channel free of charge. This is our highest reoccurring cost. Federal is an outstanding company. I've been shooting them ever since I was a kid. And again, I want to thank them for supplying the ammunition to the channel. Good stuff. All right, so we have two magazines out here. I always like 20 round magazines because most ammunition comes in 20 round boxes. And so you'll see me using a lot of these magazines at the Military Arms channel. Plus they work nice when you're shooting from a bench. They're just handy magazines, and I just enjoy them. And 30 rounders obviously have their uses. All right, so just insert the magazine, pop it in until it locks. Now, one thing I've noticed about this gun is really nice is that it's very easy because it inserts straight in. It's very easy for me to even get a full magazine into this gun with the bolt home. Some guns, that can be a little bit challenging, but this rifle, they just drop right in. All right, but I only have 10 rounds in right now. Going to go ahead and load it up. Just going to pull that charging hinge to the rear, release it, and she is ready to go. Selector levers right here, standard foul fair. And this thing, it hucks the brass, but the recoil impulse on this thing is just so smooth. Absolutely love this thing. All right, so the bolt locks open just like you would expect it to on a regular FAL. It's in 30 cal. Drop that magazine out. I'm gonna grab a 30 round mag, stick that in there, drop the bolt. Now, the brass, you guys are probably gonna ask, sometimes it can do a real number on the neck. Like right there, you can see that neck's folded over pretty sharply. The FALs are notorious for doing this, the 30 cals and apparently the 5.56s. The necks will come back during ejection, whack the receiver right there before they go on their way, so they can fold those necks over. And that's pretty common in many military rifles, especially the Cold War era. They just didn't care about the reloadability of brass. They just wanted to get it out of the gun as quickly and as positively as they could, and many times that results in damaged cases. But to the civilian world out there, that can be a problem, especially if you like to reload your 5.56. So yeah, I love this gun. Now, there's only 700 of these in the United States. Why they didn't bring in more, I don't know. Some may ask, well, why doesn't a company like DS Arms make a 5.56 FAL? They have everything they need, and it's true, they do. I don't know. Maybe they've done some market research, and maybe people out there that think this is a dumb idea that I've seen post on X to my picture that I posted. Maybe they outnumber those of us like me that just want a 5.56 FAL because it's cool. Now, globally, I don't think any 5.56 FAL was ever used by military. I could be dead wrong on that. I don't know. I just know what's been available in the U.S. market. And as far as 5.56 FALs go, this is probably the one that, you know, is the best known. I don't know of any other ones. I've never really looked into it. I just remember these from my youth, and that's why I have this one. Very, very cool guns. So, as you probably could guess, this rifle has not been imported for quite some time. Again, maybe DS Arms will take a look at this at some point down the road and make a 5.56 FAL for those of you out there that might want one. For the rest of you, these are just collector's items. You can probably find them out there online for sale somewhere. They come up for sale periodically. And yeah, they run about the same price, I would imagine, as just a standard FAL and 30 cal. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. I love the gun. I love the FAL. You guys know I do. And it's just immense fun to shoot. The 5.56 is a real pleasant rifle to shoot. The only reason why I wouldn't want to shoot this a lot more is simply because spare parts aren't going to be available if I break a part that's specific to the rifle. And I have a tendency to break things, as you well know if you watch the channel. All right, guys, if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms channel, the best way to do that is become part of our Patreon family. There's a link in the video description below. Right here on YouTube, you got the little join and thanks button underneath the video player you're watching right now. Mash either one of those buttons and you can support us right here on YouTube. And last but not least, please swing by and check out Copper Custom. Thank you for 15 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.